words for sure. So let me give people the framework that I apply when I break down any use of force case or any case I'm working on. And I get paid a lot of money to do this. And you'll be surprised to know, maybe, that there's only 5 things you need for self-defense. It's very simple. It's like a child's jigsaw puzzle with 5 giant pieces. It's not, the law's not complicated. And those 5 pieces are innocence, imminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness. That means innocence, you can have been the initial aggressor or the person who provoked the fight. If you do that, you lose innocence, you lose self-defense. And by the way, all these elements are required. If any one of them is missing, you don't have self-defense. Whatever you did, it was not lawful self-defense. So another way to think of these is each of these elements I'm talking about is a target of attack for the prosecutor. So a prosecutor who knows what he's doing, he gets that investigative report from the detectives, and he's thinking to himself, all right, I have to be able to disprove one of these beyond a reasonable doubt, and then I win. And the reason he wins is, if you think about it, when you claim self-defense, like Chud the Builder is going to be claiming, you're not saying, it wasn't me. You're not saying I have an alibi. I wasn't there. You're saying the opposite of that. You're saying, it was me. I shot that guy, but I did it in self-defense. Well, the prosecutor knows if he can defeat one of those required 5 elements and self-defense goes away, the only thing that's left of, I shot that guy, but it was self-defense, is, I shot that guy. It's just a confession. So the prosecutor is looking at these 5 elements to see which one looks vulnerable to being disproven beyond a reasonable doubt. If you were the initial aggressor,
shots were fired, we don't
against a threat that's either actually occurring in the moment or immediately about to occur. The fist is pulled back, the guy's reaching for a weapon. It can't be something that happened in the past. It can't be something that might happen in the future. Proportionality, and this could be a problem for Chud, is you can only use deadly defensive force if you're facing a deadly force threat. If you're only facing a non-deadly force threat, you can't use a gun to defend yourself against a non-deadly force threat. And usually, a punch is going to be considered a non-deadly force threat. So that could be an issue here. Avoidance is the 4th element. That has to do with whether or not you have a legal duty to retreat before you can defend yourself. Tennessee, like most states, is a stand your ground state. So in otherwise lawful self-defense, you don't have a legal duty to retreat. But what if the self-defense is not lawful? What if it has some other defect? Then even in Tennessee, which was one of the first stand your ground states, you can reacquire a legal duty to retreat. And then finally, reasonableness. And this is a broad target of attack because it just asks generally, would a reasonable and prudent person do what you did? And let's face it, anyone who's a social media provocateur is doing a lot of stuff that's kind of outside the Overton window and does not look reasonable to a normie jury. I mean, just imagine a typical juror in this, little town in Tennessee.
Yep.
Most white people have been socially conditioned their whole lives to viscerally recoil if they were to see a white guy call a black guy the N-word to his face.
Yep.
Right? Yep. They don't consider that normal. They don't consider that reasonable. So that could be an issue. Now, of course, we don't know that happened here. But so what the prosecutor's looking for is, well, if Chud provoked this fight, again, we don't know if that happened, but if it provoked the fight, that complicates Chud's claim of self-defense. That's a target for attack. If Chud went to the gun when a gun deadly defensive force was disproportionate, that's the element of proportionality, vulnerable to attack. And if Chud engaged in behavior that the prosecutor believes a typical juror in his district would find unreasonable, that's a target for attack for the prosecutor. So it depends on how the facts work out. If Chud provoked the confrontation, if Chud went to the gun when he shouldn't have, if Chud acted unreasonably, well, there's only 5 elements of self-defense, and now 3 of them are viable attacks for the prosecutor. Of course, if Chud didn't do any of that, if the facts we just heard recounted by Amiri were, he was basically innocuous, minding his own business, got attacked from behind, didn't provoke anybody, had reason to believe he was being threatened with a deadly force attack, which doesn't require death, but either death or serious bodily injury. And he had reason to believe this, that it wasn't speculative, it wasn't bare fear. Well, then he's got a very solid claim of self-defense, but we can't really know until we see evidence. We see a better video, we hear, another question is Chud going to testify? I mean, the best source for a lot of this evidence would be Chud's testimony on the witness stand, which he's allowed to do. But the moment he takes the witness stand, he's like any other witness. His character and his credibility are subject to cross-examination. And I guarantee you the prosecutor is going to bring up every clip from social media that he can where Chud is saying the N-word to black people to their face. And this is not a majority black community where this happened. Montgomery County, there's a Montgomery County in Alabama that's 80% black, but that's not this place. Montgomery County in Tennessee is about 70% white, about 20% black. But that means on a jury of 12, statistically, a couple of those jurors are going to be black people.
Yeah.
And how are they going to receive those videos? And you might say, well, it shouldn't matter, but it does matter. I mean, we're all human. We're all fallen human beings. And
Oh boy.
It's not some algorithm. It's not some AI system. It's just human beings making human judgment calls. And how is Chud going to take the witness stand and have all those videos? Imagine there's a jury panel with two black.
What'd you do all day, nigger?
And they're going to see video after video after video of Chud calling black people the N-word.
Why are you asking why are you asking what you did all day?
I mean, that may be funny on social media, but it's going to be a lot less funny.
This is being an asshole.
That went out of his arraignment.
So what, Spooky Boy? Just to be an asshole.
It's funny because Chud is there. He's white.
What are you doing tonight, boy?
His defense lawyer is there. He's white. The prosecutor
That
is there.
goddamn
The judge
thing,
is there.
boy.
He's white. The bailiff is there. The bailiff is one of the biggest black guys you've ever seen. And that bailiff is just giving Chud the eye. Like you would not believe. He knows who this guy is.
Not a goddamn thing, boy.
What do you think that...
This guy? If you can see on my screen?
I'm not seeing. I can't see it on your screen.
Oh, you can't see our Discord screen? If you open up our Discord screen, you can see what I have shared.
Okay, let me make it bigger, you mean?
Yeah, if you look at our Discord screen, yeah, you'll see I have it here.
Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy. I don't see it on the Discord screen, but I have YouTube open. That's the guy.
Yeah.
So imagine that guy's on the jury. So there are fact scenarios in which this can and should work out well for Chud. He's a viable claim of self-defense. If he was being innocuous, non-provocative, there are scenarios in which, if he, we don't know if he called this guy Joshua Fox is the guy who attacked him. By the way, there's nothing Chud said or could say that would justify Joshua Fox punching him. No one is saying Joshua Fox was justified. But that's a completely different legal analysis question than Chud. In fact, unless Joshua Fox was unjustified, Chud has no hope. So we're all presuming the punch was unlawful. No question about it.
What up, YouTube peoples?
That black people are entitled to punch you because you say the N-word. That's not the case. I'm certainly not arguing that. It's quite possible for both these guys to be criminally liable and be convicted and go to prison. They can both be wrong. But the question for Chud is, if you provoke the confrontation under Tennessee law, you lose self-defense. It says so right in the statute.
So, and look, I have to pull up the statute here as well. Do you remember the number by chance or no?
39-11-611. Because I'm a pro.
39, what is it called? 39-611?
39-11-611.
Tennessee Code Self-Defense. Bam, here we go. I got it up on screen.
YouTuber.
I'm on Justia, U.S. Law. And then you want me to, is there any part of
YouTube, what up?
The relevant part for provocation is paragraph E.
Right here, okay. The threat or use of force against another is not justified. One,
it's not justified.
It's not.
So the important thing here is they just went through, it's paragraph E, right? So the prior paragraphs, they went through all the things you have to do to qualify for self-defense. And that's all that innocence, eminence, that's all those elements. And then you get to paragraph E, and basically what it's saying is, even if you did everything else right, even if you would otherwise qualify for lawful self-defense, you don't qualify for lawful self-defense if you provoke the confrontation. And you can go ahead and read it.
Okay, so it goes here, the threat or use of force against another is not justified if the person, one, if the person using force consented to the exact force used or attempted by the other individual. Two.
Yeah, that part doesn't matter. Go to paragraph 2 there.
Okay, 2, so this one will apply for us. If the person using force provoked the other individual's use or attempted use of unlawful force, unless, A, the person who force abandons the encounter or clearly communicates to the other the intent to do so, and B, the other person nevertheless continues or attempts to use unlawful force against the person, or 3, the to resist on a halt at a roadblock, arrest, search, or stop. And
I'll forget that part. That involves the police stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's happening there is the statute is saying if you provoke the confrontation, you lose self-defense. Now, you can regain self-defense even if you provoked it by withdrawing from the fight, and in good faith, you're actually trying to end the fight and communicating your withdrawal to the other party. And what's happening there, what they're doing is they're rewarding you. They're saying, listen, even if you provoke the fight, we'll allow you to regain self-defense if you de-escalate the fight. If you try to end the fight you provoked, we'll give you a prize. The prize is you get self-defense back. But you have to do that. You have to do the de-escalation. Now, in Tennessee, normally, you have no legal duty to retreat from a fight before you can defend yourself. Unless you provoked the fight. If you provoke the fight, now you've lost self-defense unless you do what? Withdraw from the fight, communicate your withdrawal to the other party. Now you've reacquired a legal duty to retreat. So one possibility here is that even if Chud did provoke, it did call this guy the N-word, got a punch for it. Well, if after that Chud withdrew from the fight, and I've heard claims that he was walking away from the confrontation.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah. So that's a possibility that Chud could have to argue. He doesn't have to argue that unless there's a credible argument by the state that he provoked the fight in the first place. But if there is that argument, and where might that evidence come from? The evidence might come from this dirtbag and Joshua Fox. I mean, this white beater.
I wish this guy would stop trying to guard my guy.
He might just tell the cops, yeah, that guy called me
In the way.
What's it to him to say that? Right? No one controls whether or not, whether it's true or not. It could be a complete lie.
Whether it's true or not,
It's evidence that the prosecutor can use.
I can quickly read this right here. So it says the man Chud the builder shot yesterday has been identified as Joshua Fox, who was charged with aggravated domestic assault after allegedly threatening his wife with a screwdriver trying to burn the house down in 2024. On April 18, 2024, in Clarksville, Tennessee, officers responded to a domestic incident at a Tire Drive apartment. Joshua Fox told officers his wife would not let him leave. His wife told officers Joshua was upset over vehicle issues preventing him from leaving. He claimed Joshua had an aerosol can and a lighter. And attempted to burn the house down when she tried to take the can away. They both fell to the ground. She said Joshua then grabbed the screwdriver and held it to her side, causing her to back away. And then it says here, officers located the aerosol can and screwdriver described. They deemed Joshua the primary aggressor and arrested him for aggravated domestic assault. And then you can see here, the video that did circulate.
Yo, what the fuck, man?
This doesn't really help at all.
It doesn't show you anything.
Niggas are ass.
Andrew. So,
by the way, can you imagine being low IQ and hyper-violent enough that you're claiming you tried to set arson to a building because your ex-wife wouldn't let you leave?
Ridiculous.
Wait, she's not letting me leave? I guess I'll just burn the building down around us. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, everyone's going down if I can't leave.
Oh, gosh.
Earlier, Andrew, that proportionality. One of the 5 elements of self-defense is proportionality.
I don't even know why I get on this fucking game.
For what,
Niggas suck. Every game I get in, bro, they're fucking trash.
But it's, and then imminency is another thing as well, right? Wouldn't you be able to argue?
At least I got a fucking shot of it.
In the face, though it might not necessarily be, lethal force at face value, it can incapacitate you to a degree where they can continue to assault you and they can get deadly very quickly. And in that, you're defending yourself from getting knocked out or, getting some serious bodily injury. Because I've heard, either serious bodily harm or imminent or death. And serious bodily harm, I think me and you actually learned this from you, if I'm not mistaken. Serious bodily harm can be anything from like maybe a fracture on a bone. It doesn't have to necessarily be deadly. So what could a punch in the face suffice for them?
It could, right? We've all seen news reports and videos of people knocked out by one punch and they're knocked unconscious, they fall, they hit their head, they die. Here's the problem. Again, the legal system is run by human beings, right? Judges see lots of fistfights come through their courts, and they almost never see anyone die from it. It does happen, but it's very rare. Statistically, it's about 2% of cases. And judges know that if they say, all right, I'm going to treat every punch as if it were a deadly force attack that you can respond to with a gun, they're turning every fistfight into a gunfight. And they don't want to do that because they know the majority of fistfights don't end that way, don't end with deadly force. So we can say to ourselves, well, listen, if you're the 2%,
Yo, Blackie.
the risk of death from that punch is 100%, right?
Boy.
You just got killed by that.
You heard what happened to Chud the Builder?
Killed by the punch, then
Yeah.
the state will call it deadly force. They'll call the punch deadly force. That doesn't help you in self-defense, of course. But the problem is the law. If it's an
Sure
how can I
did.
put it? A non-aggravated punch. If it's a typical fist fight
That nigga
between
in the
two
jail.
guys of similar strength, size, and fighting ability, invariably the courts are going to.
You heard how much his bond was?
They ain't let him out. It don't even matter. Probably don't even matter what the other guy did at this point.
Yes. If the fist is of a nature that it's
Ah, they got that nigga for attempted murder. It's a rap on.
If a young Mike Tyson is throwing the punch, that's
They said,
How you get caught? How you get caught by the FBI? They tell you to chill out. You go out and go shoot somebody the next day.
That's reasonably seen as more likely to cause death.
He goes,
said
yo,
his
people are
bail,
yelling
too.
at me. People are yelling at me, so I went up there. And then they
they
started
they
beating
said
up
his
on me or
bail
whatever.
for 1.5 million.
Yeah, he ain't getting out.
They
They froze his assets and everything. They froze everything. That's probably why he went out and shot somebody. He done up. They ain't gonna say God this, God that, man. You talking about chimping out. Motherfuckers come from fucking monkeys, caucus beasts, man.
In the black community.
Come on, man.
The point is, before you can go to the gun, you have to have a reasonable belief that you're about to face a deadly force threat. Can a fist meet that standard? It can, but typically you need some kind of aggravating factor that's more than just the fist. Size, strength, fighting ability, disparity of numbers, sustained beating.
My computer hasn't seized up in a long time, boy.
Fair enough. So,
And now here, there was a first thrown punch, and then the two guys go to the ground. I can tell that from the video, but I can't tell who's doing what. If Joshua Fox has mounted Judd and is beating his head into the sidewalk like Trayvon Martin was doing to George Zimmerman, yeah, that looks like a deadly force attack to me. But I just can't tell from the video if that's what's happening.
yeah, and I
That's crazy how George Zimmerman got away with that shit.
It's not enough. You need other factors in. So, I'll give a scenario and then we can kind of go
Or
through this.
like if it's a large man and a small woman. Right. I mean, anytime a man's attacking a woman, generally it's kind of baked into the cake. You have the size, strength, and fighting ability disparity.
So in other words, a woman, like in the same scenario as Chud, is going to be able to go up the escalation ladder way faster.
Bro, what are we doing here, man?
Able-bodied man, bigger, etc. So,
assuming he's able-bodied, I don't know if he is. I'm assuming him. But say, for example, the victim of the punch is someone who's on prescribed blood thinners.
Fuck it. I might as well just play it through.
And you take a punch to the head, it'll kill you. I mean, you'll get a brain bleed and you'll die. So if you're,
Oh my goodness, pass the ball.
And somebody comes up to punch you in the head.
Y'all gonna pass the ball? What?
You have a credible argument that
The fuck is going on?
Maybe not to a healthy person, but that punch to me, that was a deadly force attack. And therefore,
of course, take another dumbass shot. This nigga's taking a post shot. No one on.
The exceptional vulnerability.
Fucking retarded.
And I think this is very important that people understand this. Like, the punch in of itself is not enough. However, if you add in other factors, you can quickly, justify depending on if you got a good lawyer, there's certain circumstances. So let's go through it.
What you're doing is you're telling stories in court, right? You're telling stories to the jury. The prosecutor is telling the jury a story of guilt, and your defense attorney needs to be telling the jury a story of innocence.
Yeah.
And it's all, humans, as all of human civilization, the best way we learn, the most compelling information.
You know how to set up motherfuckers to shoot, man.
It's one of the reasons your defense attorney is so important. Why you need a good one.
Yeah. So let's go with this fact pattern here, and then we can explore other ones. So this is what 100 witnesses are saying that watched the stream live. Joe told the guy, I hope your day gets better now. I'm going to show you this, and then Chud had already walked away. So we can argue that this is a disengagement and opens up. Even if he walked up and said,
Shit is bad.
etc. There's altercation, and then he says, well, every day gets better, God bless, and he walks away. We can argue that that's a disengagement. Then he walks away, says about 70 to 100 yards away. The man went out of his way to run up to Chud, so he closed the distance. While his back was turned, he confronts
I would argue that's a new fight.
Yeah.
So once you withdraw from, you do that withdrawal and communication, even if you provoke the first fight in the first place, once you've effectively ended that first fight by withdrawing communication, now, assuming this is true, right? If Joshua Fox then runs up behind him and attacks him, that's a brand new fight. That has nothing to do with what happened before.
Yeah, and I think it's important people understand that even if you provoke the fight, if you de-escalate and disengage, and then they come back and attack you after the fact, you basically get a second shot at the apple. You get a second bite at the apple.
That's right.
Because you disengage, and then you walked away, and then the person comes in, and again, I'd love to correct me if I'm wrong, you're the expert here. From what I've always looked at it, like the person that closes the distance typically is the aggressor in most situations, and then that gives you a better position to argue self-defense because you're not the they close the distance on you.
Oh my fucking goodness, dude. These niggas don't pass.
Because this guy came up to you, so even if he did go in and be like, "F you, N bombs, blah blah blah," all this other stuff. Him disengaging, saying, "I hope your day gets better, God bless." You can read
Shit is bad.
This is, him walking
Another
away,
turnover. Like, yo, like, come on, man.
On the legal merits, it's possible to imagine a scenario where the other guy closes on you and you're still the provoker, for example. Like if you're shouting the N-word at him continuously and he closes on you, you could still be made to look like the provoker. But normally, the position you want to be in as a defendant in the use of force cases, you don't want to look like you went to the fight. If the fight came to you, it looks a lot more like self-defense than if you went to the fight. I mean, one of the problems with Chud is there's a video out there. Maybe I can send you the link.
Yeah, please do, and I'll pull it up on screen.
Let's see. Yeah, it's this one. Let me.
Oh,
Is
shit.
it okay if it's on X?
Yeah, I'm using X for
What?
stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can even share your screen if you prefer.
Ugh.
I'm a boomer. I don't want to screw that up, so I just texted you the link. It's where he pepper sprays this guy he's having a confrontation in.
Oh, yeah, I know what's in.
And the reason it's interesting is because he's not really always defending himself with the pepper spray. It's like, let's see, I'll let you pull it up.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
thing I want people to watch for here is you can use pepper spray in self-defense, and there are things this black guy he's in a confrontation with. There are things this black guy is doing that you could argue deserve pepper spray, but then Chud, as the black guy wanders away, Chud follows him and pepper sprays him again.
I think that's
And
what
when
you're
you're
talking
going
about,
to the fight, let's see.
Yeah, if you open up the Discord, you should be able to see my screen as well. And I have the video here, so I can play the audio for you. We can react to it.
I don't know what open up the Discord means. I can see you and I can see me in a little window, but I don't see your shared screen.
If you open,
I'm sure
That's a me problem.
yeah, if you open up Discord, like in large,
I don't know what I'm playing with right now.
I got it as big. I have a giant 4000K screen and I've got it as big as I can make it.
so you have one screen. You only have one screen.
No, I have 3.
Try to pull up the Discord in one screen by itself. If you can. Make it take up one full window, and then that way you'll see me, then you'll see yourself, and you'll be able to also see.
Guy open in the fucking corner. He's still open.
Okay, you want to play it? Then you
Takes
can-
it up.
Yeah, go ahead and play it.
You heard me, Nick.
So he's got this confrontation with this black guy here, and he's going to bring pepper spray into play.
This dude,
The guy knocks his hat off.
Hey, you gotta be on, what
Which
you
are
doing? Your work
but then he follows the guy.
Yeah. Because you fast forward a little bit here, so he knocks his hat off.
That's right.
You're a beast, bro.
Oh, bitch.
Literally, all you do is talk about your dick.
Okay, knocks the hat off, walks away.
Come back over here. Come back over here.
And I think once you know, someone's hands go to your face, that's about as aggressive as you can be without having a weapon in your hand. So I think knocking the hat off, that deserves pepper spray.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't let the guy, he follows the guy down.
When you walk away.
So he can keep.
Right, so he can keep filming for clicks, and that doesn't look like self-defense anymore.
Yeah.
Again. Touch me again. I don't want to get pepper
He says, "Touch me again."
spray. I really.
And the guy says, "I don't want to get frustrated."
Why is my shit disconnecting?
You heard me, Nick.
So he grabs the hat, or he went for
Pass the ball, man.
and Chud sprays him.
I would say that's legitimate to pepper spray him too. He's the guy's trying to.
Damn.
Would be my argument, right?
Yeah.
Is trying to take away his defensive weapon. But after he sprays him there, again, he follows the guy. He doesn't let the guy just walk away because he wants to keep filming, I guess.
Yeah. So he sprays him. Guy walks away.
Oh my gosh. Yo, these niggas are so ass, dude.
I ain't gonna play you. That motherfucker was to put his hands on me again.
Okay. Yeah. So, here, let me go back. So, okay. So with this fact pattern here, assuming this is all correct, would you say that he has a strong self-defense case with this fact pattern, assuming it's true?
Well, for some of it, yes, but not for other parts of it.
Yeah. Let me read through it one more time because I know you can't see the screen. Chud told the guy, I hope your day gets better, God bless. Chud had already walked away. It was about 700 yards away.
Oh, this fact pattern. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the pepper spray.
No, not the pepper spray one. Not the pepper spray one.
Right,
This one.
no, this fact pattern looks good. It looks good for self-defense. The trouble is, here's the thing. Every time I consult on a case, I'm talking to a client, and the client tells me what happened, and it sounds great. And then I look at the surveillance video, or I look at the body, and they left out all the shit that makes them look bad.
Oh my goodness.
It could be literally true, but if they're leaving out all the bad stuff,
You're fucking garbage.
it's not the totality of the circumstances. So it's a way of lying by omission, right? You leave out all the bad stuff, and the good stuff sounds great.
Yeah. So, assuming this fact pattern, because when I saw this fact pattern, I said, well, this is actually true. I think
Oh, God.
Now,
I just missed.
We talked about individualism when it comes to you being attacked and how that plays a role, right? You gave the blood thinner example earlier.
Oh my fucking goodness. Like, this shit is so annoying, bro. Niggas is so bad.
People say that they want to kill me, etc. We also know, I think it came out, that this guy had made threats to, attack Chud. Now, obviously, we didn't have a discussion about that you have to know that beforehand. But would the fact that the guy is basically hated by everyone, I mean, here's a tweet I have here that shows it, from a rapper with 2.5 million followers saying, quick to take our own brothers out with this white racist dude I keep seeing still walking around on the skate. Tell Buddy to come to Memphis. I'll figure out a way to make it justified and put Buddy ass in the dirt on my baby. Would the virality of his antics and enormous amount of death threats and messages he gets, hell, even having famous individuals with large followings, call for his death on the internet, would all of this play a role in him being able to escalate the use of force either quicker than a normal situation?
Bro, I don't know what these motherfuckers are doing, bro.
The more specific the threat, the more
I'm in fucking Bot Lobby Central.
Reasonable perception of the need to go to
I'm even passing the fucking ball.
I don't know what Chud knew, but let's imagine that Chud knew that this particular guy, Joshua Fox, had threatened him with death. Next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. And Chud knows this guy made that threat, and then he sees the guy on the street. Well, that all goes to Chud's state of mind. That's part of his reasonable evaluation of the intensity of the threat and whether or not he should go to the gun. But the more general the threat becomes, the more diffuse the reasoning becomes. So if it's, hey, this rapper said one of my black fans should kill this guy, you can't just go shoot every black person you see because you might be a fan of that rapper who's trying to kill you. It becomes a much more diffuse argument. Is it still relevant? It could be. I mean, you can make that argument. You could say, listen, I know there's a lot of black people who are looking to kill me because of my antics, and then I was attacked by a black person. That's different than if I was attacked by a white person. It's a different dynamic. And then you have to try to convince those two black people on the jury of that argument.
Yeah. So, because, the thing when I look at this, I'm like, look, his antics might be inflammatory. Obviously, you can make the argument he's provoking, doing X, Y, Z. But that doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have a right to defend himself, even, especially like we talked about before.
I don't even know. I don't even know at this fucking point.
What about...
I don't know.
He has the same right of self-defense as I have, as Myron has, as anybody has. It's not... I remember famously in the Rittenhouse trial,
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Arguments argued to the jury that Kyle Rittenhouse should have just taken the beating.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to take a beating. No, that's not true. That's not the law. You have a right to defend yourself. But if he provoked the confrontation, just as if I provoked the confrontation or Myron did, you risk losing self-defense. It's the same for all of us.
Yeah. So we have the circumstances with, obviously, the fame, people marking him for death, etc. So he's going to be on a heightened alert, which all goes to his benefit. Now, from what I also understood, and you can go ahead and give other fact patterns, I've also heard that they went to the ground. Once you go to the ground, and because apparently that's when the shots were fired, when they were on the ground. Now, obviously, this goes from a punch, and you can make the argument potentially that going to the ground is an aggravating factor, where, and it's so crazy how self-defense, for those that are listening, guys, self-defense changes millisecond by millisecond in the interaction.
It's very dynamic.
It's extremely dynamic, guys. Like, we're trying to kind of give you guys different scenarios where it could be justified or not justified, but, I love the fact that, Andrew made the decision. Look, if you just get punched in the face by itself, that's not going to justify use of force. However, you're Chud the Builder, you're famous, people hate you, People make
I don't even know, bro. I
you
don't get it. I don't get it.
significantly from, let's say, maybe Andrew getting punched in the face by somebody
I'm just missing out. This shit's crazy.
So,
Hey, I get my share of death threats.
I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure. Me too, actually, me too. So, would it,
Fuck.
If they're on the ground, right? If you're on
Niggas
the
got me
ground,
hurt.
and you're mounted by a dude, he can punch you with abandon, and you can't really throw a punch back because you can't. Your elbow hits the ground. You can't throw a full force punch. Plus, every time you get hit in the head, not only does the fist hit you in the front of the head, but the ground hits you in the back of the head. So it's like getting punched twice every time you're struck. It's a very vulnerable position. Unless you're trained in defending yourself in that position. I mean, if you know BJJ, there's things you can do, but a normal person, they are in an extremely vulnerable position. That's why George Zimmerman was justified in shooting Trayvon Martin. Even though Trayvon Martin, they say he was unarmed. What they mean is Trayvon Martin didn't have a weapon, a synthetic weapon like a gun or a knife. But of course, he was armed. Trayvon Martin was armed with his fists. Yeah. And he was armed on top of George Zimmerman. And he was armed with the gravity of Earth that let him pin Zimmerman to the ground where he could continue beating him. So once you're on the ground, it all changes. Yes, if Chud can articulate that same kind of dynamic. Listen, I wouldn't have shot the guy, except I was getting my head beat into the sidewalk. And every time that happens, you could lose consciousness in an instant. You're suffering brain injury every time it happens. Then it's a much more robust argument. Again, he still has to deal, maybe, with the provocation issue, right? If it happened. He still has to deal with that. But if there was no provocation, then we're right to proportionality. Then we're on how do the dynamics of the fight change if you're pinned to the ground. Now, I'm not sure. I don't know for sure if the shot was fired on the ground. What I see in that little video clip we have from the women in the office building is it seems to me like that's when they go to the ground. But I think the shot was fired prior. I think the women started filming because they heard a gunshot and went to their window and saw the fight. Because I don't hear a gunshot in that video. I hear the women's voices.
Yeah, so you can see.
Oh, they're out here.
And we don't know when the shots were fired.
Yeah.
Or we also don't know if they went to the ground first. Shots were fired, then they got back. Who knows if this was the second time they went down to the ground or whatever. That's why the footage is going to be so important.
Or for example, Chud might be able to explain. Listen, I carry a gun. And this guy saw my gun. So the moment he approached me, he went for my gun. Well, that's a gun thing. Then it's two guys fighting over a gun.
And you can also...
By the way, I am curious about one thing. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to this.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody in the chat does. But my understanding is Chud had just come out. A few days prior, he'd been thrown out of a very good steakhouse in Nashville. If you've never been there, I recommend it. Bob's in the Omni Hotel in Nashville. It's excellent. But apparently he was there having a steak and ran up a bill, and I think he was filming himself, and the staff didn't like it, so they asked him to leave. Anyway, he wouldn't leave. He ended up getting arrested over that. That's why he
left. He left, but what happened was he left, but he said, I'm not gonna pay for the bill because you guys are kicking me out.
All right. So they got him for, I guess, theft of something under $1,000 and disorderly conduct. That's why he was at the courthouse. Well, if you're in the courthouse, because you have to answer a charge, how's he have a gun when he comes out of the courthouse? Every courthouse I've ever been in, there's security. Yeah. You can't bring a gun in there. So what apparently he had just come out of the courthouse. Where the hell did the gun come from?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he was there for court or what happened, or he was just in the area. Yeah, but I do know. Yes, a couple of days prior, he had been arrested for theft of service. But the other thing I was gonna say too. So, okay, we talked about proportionality. We talked about going to the ground. We talked about what about if here's something else that came up that I also heard. Apparently, when they were fighting, the guy said, "I'm gonna kill you" multiple times to Chud. Would that be considered an aggravating factor as well?
Yeah, because it's not just a fist fight. I mean, most of us men have been in fist fights.
Yeah.
We probably didn't tell the other guy, "I'm going to kill you." It was just a fist fight. But if you convince the other guy you're going to kill him, now it's a deadly force fight. There's no reason for him not to go to a gun, not to go to a knife to defend himself.
All right.
Defense specifically, make sure to get him in. Jack, I said
I'm talking shit and I'm missing out. I'll never miss these
shit.
shit.
I'll keep it focused on stuff now, guys. And then we'll do those and cover other stuff. So, okay, so have you heard any other fact patterns besides the one I gave you where allegedly?
What's up with my fucking jaw?
This guy closed the distance on him, attacked him. Are there any other fact patterns you heard?
2 for 5, bro.
I
2
mean,
for
I'm seeing a
5.
bunch of different stuff, but I don't give it any weight because it's normally anonymous accounts on X with 44 followers, and there's no way to confirm if they're just making stuff up or not.
So I have this video here. We could react to it real quick. This is I know you might not be able to see it, but you can hear the audio from this guy, the person that got into a fight with him. I'll play it real quick and see what your thoughts are.
Yes, if you don't feel the filter. I don't like cats. I just think the filter. Anyways, that's what I know what I'm talking about. A farmer came to my apartment today, begging on the door that he was police. I got PTSD. I've been arrested at this residence too many times. So I just hurry up and open up the door. They even kicked out my shit like they did last time. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what this music is. I've known a couple months ago, I've known people with his live streams. Oh, is this him what he said? Okay, the district attorney generally identified one of the men as 28-year-old Dalton Eagerly, a controversial online streamer. Witness Grace Roberts told WSMV she recognized Eagerly right away when she saw him being wheeled away on a stretcher. It's actually not surprising, Roberts said it feels like it was one of those things that was bound to happen. Eagerly is known for online for approaching people in public while live streaming using racial slurs, claiming to be fighting for freedom of speech. I've noticed for the past couple of months he's been messing around people with his live stream. Like I said, he just knows how to really get under people's skin, and it doesn't help when you're on camera in front of God knows how many people. Okay, let's fast forward here. It's not clear if he was streaming at the time of the altercation outside the courts, but he was arrested last weekend after allegedly refusing to pay for an almost $400 worth of food he ordered while live streaming at a downtown Nashville restaurant. Metro Nashville.
Boy, I can't focus with this Nate.
Started making racial statements, yelling and screaming. Took the time out of your day to come out of your home, get dressed up, and find people to mess with Robert said, and it's very specific, specifically attacking black people. Let me see here. Is there anything else from this? Okay, there's nothing else with this guy. But that's him. And this is a clip of them fighting. This is him getting wheeled on a stretcher. I think he got grazed or hit. And then, do you want me to play the audio when he talks to the cops? It'd be good to get your reaction to it.
I don't think I can hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it?
I can't hear it now because it's delayed on YouTube, and so I hear your voice, introducing it before I hear the actual video. I can't figure out how to do the screen on screen in Discord.
What I can do is, I'll just play it in full, and then you'll hear it, and then you can kind of give us your thoughts. Does that work?
Yeah.
I'll just play it in full without any interruptions, and then you can.
Pastor was sitting in the corner. I walked up to him because they were pointing at me. They were laughing and pointing at me, and I said, "What's up, guys? How y'all doing?" I said, "Y'all like this?"
Okay.
He said, "Walk away from me." I walked away from him. He came back up to me. He literally said, "I have PTSD. I feel like I'm in." He said, "You start saying all that shit about shit to me, I'm gonna hit you." He hit me, started wailing on me, even after I had to defend myself. I see this. He was still wailing on me.
It's gonna be a short ass stream, man. Play 2 games, can't even get through 1.
The trouble is, it's like the Amiri King fact pattern. It's like what's being left out, right? Of course, the way he's telling it, it sounds great, but I can't help but wonder, what would be inserted if you actually had a transcript of the encounter?
Yeah.
That would make all the difference.
I can keep playing it.
And again, tiny changes in facts lead to huge changes in legal outcome in use of force cases.
Absolutely. Here, I'll keep playing it. It's almost done. It's like 10 more seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you got a good view. Okay. He has a grace. I call it grace for the left arm. He has slight abrasion right here on his head. Maybe some straight light headedness.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I think you talk way too much to the cops. What are your general thoughts on that?
Okay, so, I mean, if I shot someone in self-defense, would there be a very limited number of things I might say to the police? Yeah, there might be. I might want to make sure that exculpatory witnesses are identified, exculpatory evidence, the bad guy's knife is secured into evidence.
It's trash, bro. Niggas are trash.
Get that on the record as quickly as possible. But at that point, even me, arguably, the nation's leading expert on use of force law, I'm shutting my mouth.
Yeah.
Until my lawyer shows up, and I may not even talk, by the way. A lot of times people say, you should tell the cops, you're not going to say anything until your lawyer shows up. I got to be honest. You shouldn't say anything when your lawyer shows up. You should never be saying anything. Your lawyer should be doing your talking for you. Even if your lawyer is sitting next to you, every word you say can be used against you in court. The better model is you whisper to they ask you a question, so what happened? Whisper in your lawyer's ear. He gets to recount what you said. That can't be used against you in court. Those are his words. But you're still getting your message of what happened out to the investigators. Generally speaking, for most people, if they're not sophisticated about this kind of stuff, especially if deadly force was involved, you're going to get arrested anyway. Just comply with the arrest, get cuffed up, get a lawyer, and let your lawyer do your talking for you. The prospects of you talking yourself out of arrest are zero. Once, especially if deadly force was involved, you're just going to get arrested. And anything you might say to try to make the situation better is almost.
Bro, this is like.
Now, I have a theory on this, and we can kind of put our.
Come on, man, pass the fucking pill.
More than likely going to get arrested no matter what. I think based on the fame, how viral he is, what he's doing, I look at it like, you know what, dude. Anytime you have a racially sensitive case like this,
My fucking everybody just holding the pill. Give it up.
Especially after the whole George Floyd saga, most district attorney officers and law enforcement agencies are just going to arrest and kind of let the grand jury decide if they want to pass the true law indictment later on. But
he shot a guy in a public street. However meritorious, it could be completely lawful self-defense. He shot a guy on a public street outside the courthouse. You're getting arrested. There is no world in which you're not getting arrested. Because who's dealing with you? The responding sheriff's deputies or marshals or local cops. What ends up happening with you is above their pay grade. That's not their problem.
Yeah.
What they have to deal with now is you got a gun and you just shot a guy. They're just going to arrest you. That's just what they're going to do. And then you become someone else's problem.
Yeah, because and that's kind of what I was going to say here. Like they don't have the, and I like that you mentioned the whole pay grade thing. Yeah, that's going to be a prosecutor decision at higher levels of the law enforcement agency. Like the guy that's there wants to cover his own ass, right? So he'll probably make the probable cause arrest, bring you in, and let it get settled. And I've noticed with like these racially sensitive cases, it's almost like the law enforcement agency, the state attorney's office, nobody really wants the culpability of dismissing the case. So they'll prosecute.
Come on, man, pass the pill.
Just so that they can say, look, well, we pushed the grand jury and the grand jury didn't indict. That's your own peers. Don't be mad at us.
Nigga, only one that shot the ball in the fucking joint. Go ahead, man.
You're lucky if you get that out.
Yeah.
So like, remember the Michael Brown case, the hands up, don't shoot nonsense case, right? That this huge black guy attacked this relatively small white officer. The officer shot him and killed him. That prosecutor, this is it was in St. Louis, Missouri, I believe. That prosecutor had been the prosecutor there for like 30 plus years. He'd been the prosecutor forever. And he decided, prosecutors don't have to present the grand jury with both sides of the case. They only have to present their side of the case and get an indictment. And of course, that's why it's easy for prosecutors to get an indictment. Anytime you only hear one side of the argument, it sounds good, right? But in that case, the prosecutor went to the grand jury and did something very unusual. He presented them with both sides of the case. And the grand jury said, well, we're not going to indict in the Michael Brown shooting. And that was it. That was the end of any prosecution of that officer. That prosecutor who made that decision to tell the grand jury both sides of the story, after being a prosecutor there for more than 30 years, the next election, a young black lawyer ran against him and beat him. He lost his career over that decision. And every prosecutor in the country knows the story I just shared with you. So every prosecutor knows if there's a white-black shooting and I decide not to go hyper-aggressive after the white guy, I could lose my whole career over that decision. I'm not going to do that. Why would I sacrifice my career for this white guy? I don't even know what he did was lawful. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he is just a murderer, right? He should sit in the hot seat and suffer for that decision to fire that shot, not me.
Yeah, and I've noticed that with these cases, like it's almost like they arrest now and ask
Bro, you're up to
to the grand jury and to a jury trial if it comes to that point.
Fucking,
And
bro.
ultimately to the jurors.
He's wildin', bro.
It gets there. So
Because for the, you have to keep in mind,
Está
especially
getting
for
the boom
racially
in there,
energized cases,
Papete.
for the prosecutor, it's a win-win
Spot up.
decision to take you to trial, right? Because either they get a conviction, and by the way, they can get a conviction even if you're innocent. There's at least a 20% chance that you get convicted, even if you did everything right in self-defense. Innocent people get convicted all the time. So they can get a conviction, and then they get to say to the media, look, I was right the whole time, right? The jury found them guilty. But even if they don't get a conviction, like Zimmerman was, Rittenhouse wasn't convicted. But those prosecutors get to go back to their trial.
Man.
Normally it's a left-wing
Good
trial.
Lord.
Say, listen, I did everything I could. I fought the good fight for all of you.
He ain't passing
Vote
it.
for me for re-election.
Yeah.
So they win there. They win the political capital game, even if they don't win the conviction.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's kind of the problem when you're like someone famous and it's like in a high profile. It's almost as if like it's a guarantee you're gonna get arrested so that they can pass the buck to somebody else. And what I've noticed with state cases is like they don't have any shame for losing. Like the feds have shame for losing. Like the United States Attorney's Office prides themselves on being 95% plus for winning. Versus like these state attorneys offices, they don't care. Yeah, 98 depending on the district, right? Well, like at the state level, I've realized like they have no problem with doing taking an incredibly sloppy case and doing it just on the premise of, well, we tried, we lost, it is what it is. They're totally okay with taking off.
It's even worse than that. They'll take a terribly sloppy case, a case that really doesn't have a prospect of winning, except the dice get thrown and you get the 20% bad luck. They'll take a case like that. It could be you. Right? It could be you. And your lawyer's telling you, listen, this is not a strong case for conviction. We'll take this trial. And they'll say, yeah, but we just hired a new prosecutor, and she's never done a trial case, so we're going to give her this one. Just so she can gain some experience. So we don't expect her to win, but she'll gain trial experience, and who knows, maybe your client will lose.
Yeah. Yeah, and litigating in criminal case, right, is very valuable experience, guys. A lot of lawyers, people forget, a lot of lawyers don't even litigate. So litigating and criminal defense attorneys, litigate quite a bit, and that's a skill set that a lot of lawyers actually don't have. So
90% of lawyers never litigate. They work for corporations or they do trusts in the states, and they're never in court.
Yeah, they don't do anything, which obviously that increases your. I've seen it so many times where someone will become a public defendant, then a prosecutor, then go and become maybe an AUSA, and then after they do all that,
right corner. Oh my God.
They make a whole bunch of money because they actually versus these other armchair lawyers.
It's not me.
So okay, so let's go through this. Let's assume. Let's go to a dream world. Let's say you're his lawyer.
Take it.
What would you do? What would you start trying to
tape, Bill.
for a case like this? You have a high-profile guy, racial, obviously very racially charged case, national headlines. Everyone is talking about it. You know who your guy is. How would you prepare if you were his counsel?
I see.
Well, there's nothing we can do about his back, right? All this social media stuff, we can't do anything about
It's so good, bro.
But what's really important here is everything in self-defense is evaluated from the state of mind, the mens rea, the mental state of the defender. What they knew at the time they fired that shot. So it's really important to pin down as early as possible. Did he know this guy? Had this guy threatened him? What's the nature of the threats he's been getting? Because to the extent you can document that was in his mind, that was in his knowledge at the time he fired the shot, that's all it is. And you can get that in front of the jury. If you wait too long and you try to claim that, it looks like you're fabricating it after a fact. And you can't prove that you had it at the time of the possession.
Oh,
And I
my
see
name
this
is
happen
Laden.
with a guy in Detroit who was leaving 2 o'clock in the morning, someone tries to kick in his door, he things. He grabs his shotgun, and
Don't
this
worry,
is
I'll only do that.
there's home invasions everywhere. He grabs the shotgun, goes to his front door, opens it up. A figure lunges across the doorway, not into the house, but side to side. He shoots it with the shotgun. It turns out to be a drunk black girl who was just at the wrong place. This is a white guy.
Even though he wasn't
And this
passing, he
white guy
still got
tried
good
to
shooting. He's
introduce
awesome,
some
bro.
evidence. Hey, I live in a neighborhood with a lot of home invasions. I thought it was a home invasion, and his lawyer tried to put a big map in front of the jury, showing every home invasion everywhere.
If he does have
And the
something, he
judge said,
does
no,
got
I'm not going to
17
allow it,
points.
because you can't demonstrate to me that your client knew about these home invasions at the time he fired that shotgun. The fact that these things are true is not enough. Your client needs to have known it.
That's why he's not
So
the
one
one
of the
no more.
lawyers or judge needs to be doing right now is establishing his present state of mind. What knowledge he had in his mind. They don't get
Why
to
you
do it
ain't
late.
go?
You'll be too late.
Bro,
How
And
the
I hope you're smart enough to
What
do
do
that.
you not
How quickly,
understand?
because this is
You
obviously
said
very
you
Is
got
that a
important. Because
kid
like,
we're
I love
playing
that you
with?
mentioned
Like,
that's
why
one
you
of my
doing
other
shit
shits
like
all the
that?
time, right? A lot of people like to armchair, you know, quarterback it and say, well, this isn't, you know, this he's guilty because he provoked this, blah, 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 but they never actually look at all the factors. And I've always told people, like you
Like,
said
these
earlier,
niggas is
you know,
not even
a
nice.
small change in the fact pattern
I
can
know
have
my
tremendous,
team
you know,
attention for
ramifications
bro.
on the outlook of the entire
You
case.
don't know nothing.
So,
That nigga is killing us.
you know, ironing down the narrative early
No, we
on is
did.
obviously very important
We
to
only
get their
got
state of
6.
mind, because that will obviously dictate was if the use of force was reasonable, which is like the you know ultimate situation. Was it reasonable given the facts and circumstances known to the person at the time they pulled the trigger?
Right,
So,
exactly.
We not.
so my question is,
Yo, we over there.
knowing that,
The AI
how
making.
quickly do they need to get
I see what.
in front of their client to establish
Shout
this
out.
fact pattern? Well, are we talking
There you
about
go.
48 hours, 72 hours?
Yeah,
Because obviously many times it's secure counsel. You know, he's not on bond, so it's not like
The first time he sits down with his lawyers, if the lawyers are competent to handle this case, they should be doing it.
Throw that ball,
First
bro.
15 minutes,
Good pass
within the
shot.
first hour.
yeah, and this is why it's so
But
important.
the lawyers need to know they
Go
need
deep.
to.
Everybody
Most
go
lawyers
deep.
don't know anything about self-defense law. They'll treat it like a car accident or DWI or where these things don't matter.
Yeah, I got that. I got.
Later, they'll learn.
Everybody get
back,
You know,
get back, get
what's-
back.
3 months
Still,
from now,
football
6
out
months from now, when they go to introduce this evidence to the court, and the prosecutor
Got it,
says, no,
bro.
there's no evidence he knew that at the time.
Wow.
And the judge says, yeah, that's right, you can't get it in. And they're like, damn it. If only he had addressed this right away, we'd be good. And the trouble is, if you take out all
Boy,
that
I see
personal
you,
knowledge stuff, you're literally stripping out the reason why he felt he had to go to the gun. And without that, you don't have self-defense.
How quick does that need to be established? Because obviously this is critical. Like, for example, I'll give you a perfect example.
It should have happened the day after the shooting.
Okay, so within 24, literally, as soon as counsel's retained, that first sit down, and this again for the guys that are watching, this is why you don't talk to the cops, because now any discrepancy between what he tells the lawyer versus the police, it's going to be
He
explained.
just had a flow going, and you give it to him, and he fucks it up. Stop giving that man the ball. He's for himself.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anyone should lie. I'm not telling anyone to lie. I'm just saying you lose options when you pin yourself to positions by talking to the police.
Yeah,
that's
and
hard.
that's critical because, from what I understand, this guy had made threats on Facebook saying, you know, I'm going to find this guy, I'm going to hurt this guy, blah, 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 right? And we don't know if Chuck knew that at the time,
Man, that was supposed
but
to
obviously that makes a huge difference because
pass the ball, man.
that would be the defense, like you discussed before, a potential aggravating factor to justify his use of force. You know what I'm saying?
PG's out of
Right,
here.
so again, I'm not suggesting any lawyer should advise their client to lie, right? I'm not saying that. But a lawyer can tell his client, listen,
Us right there. I was at me.
Oh my fucking goodness,
That's
bro.
a full
time
ball.
he fired that shot. And we did some social media research, and we came across like a bunch of death threats. Did you know that at the time? And they'll say, no, I didn't. And the lawyer go, are you sure you didn't know this at the time? And they'll go, oh yeah, no, I definitely knew that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's how it could potentially go sometimes. I mean, like, you know, and this is why, like, I think the state of mind of the individual is why having a good lawyer is so important. Because we don't know what Chuck knew at the time. We don't know if because apparently it was a group of them, and he was with a group of people. Even though one person came at him, we don't know if the people in the background say, yeah, get him, like that. Go all
Hey, we need to put our AI on
you
there.
know, and I tell people this too. There's a reason why, right? When you get into a law enforcement shooting, when I was an agent back in the day, if we got in a shooting, it was common practice. You don't talk to anyone for like 48 to 72 hours. Then you sit down with the terminal affairs and give them the full story. You don't talk as a law enforcement officer, a sworn law enforcement officer with a gun, where you have the, you know, you're carrying as a part of your job, you know, you have the ability to utilize lethal force. If you get in a shooting, you don't even talk for 24 to 72 hours. And the reason why is because you have an event like that, it's hard to really, you know, get all the facts that, you know, led you to make that decision to use deadly force.
What?
So you need to kind of get with your lawyer, figure it out, what did you feel at the time, etc. And then you go and you sit down with the terminal affairs with your lawyer. So,
and it's actually just biology. So it's not because the cops are lying. But cops tend to be involved in more gunfights than normal people, and they just learn from experience. The way your brain captures and stores and recalls information in the normal course of events is completely different than the way your brain works when someone's trying to kill you. Your brain just doesn't work the same way. The adrenaline dump, the tunnel vision, and if you were to
Yeah, if you
describe
go, I'm gonna find you,
immediately
man.
after the
Y'all
gunfight
get open,
what
bro.
you think happened, because you don't actually know what happened. You don't see everything. You know, we see these body-worn camera videos, and of course we can see everything perfectly because it's a camera. But that's not the way the human eye works. The human eye looks at this thing, or that thing, or some other thing. It's not looking at everything with clarity at the same time. The cop's eye did not see what the body-worn camera saw. Those are two different things. But if you count what happened in your gunfight the hour after it happened, and then you tell it again 12 hours later, and 24 hours later, and 48 hours later, every one of those recountings is different. They're different because your brain chemistry is settling. And it's not that one of them is a lie, or even necessarily that one of them is more accurate than the other, but they are going to be different. And so law enforcement has learned, listen, if we take 6 stories from this guy, we're going to have 6 different stories, and it's going to look terrible before. So let's let the brain chemistry settle. Let's get one story from him, and that's the official, narrative of what happened. I say story, I don't mean that it's lying. The one official narrative, description of what happened.
Yeah, this is why it's so important to not talk to the cops, because those discrepancies can come back and hurt you later. So going back to so let's say you get hired on this council. So step one, get the entire I guess narrative, or get the entire, what was going through your mind when you pulled that trigger?
Yep.
What was happening? What did you hear when you pulled the trigger? What did you see? What did the guy tell you? What did other,
And right now, because your client's talking to you, the lawyer, everything's still kind of fluid, right? You have an opportunity
I got
to
food
shape
takeover.
those recollections.
I'm trying to get that still.
But shaping, because you can ask, well, were you thinking about this, or were you thinking about this, or were you perceiving that? And so you're kind of shaping your client's recollection of the narrative in a way that's favorable. The biggest trouble I have when I consult on cases is when I'm brought on late.
Oh, that shit's still, bro.
And there's nothing I can do. I don't have a time machine. I don't get to go back and change what someone said to the cops or what's in the official record. I have to work with what they give me. I'd rather be there, an hour after it happened, and then I can help create strong word. But
bro, Square, go fucking spot up, nigga.
Arguments in a
look, this is wide open space for you right there.
Obviously very important.
You got
Because,
that
we're
before,
talking
bro.
about something, where one small little fact can change everything, and it's very important to make sure every detail is there. That
you gave up,
because anything can change.
It's the difference between no crime was committed.
Oh, that's probably the black plate. He probably like a 70 overall or some shit.
And it's really, so he got a $1.25 million bail.
Hey, yo.
I know he has a GoFundMe. I think he has enough to probably post the bail. I think he's got to post something.
Yeah, now we got spots. I'll see you.
Sorry,
No, it's going to be.
I don't know why they do it like that. Yeah, like
So a normal bail is 10%.
I hate that shit.
When the exposure
I just small food does that. But you can
they
shoot.
want 10%.
But I saw I got on this good. I like to
And then they
pass.
want
boy.
What you say?
The spook, we gonna be the spook.
Gotcha. So okay, so we went over
This is not an insane. I mean, it's a very high amount. I've seen it before in murder cases and murder cases.
Wow.
I know one of the right that's in the community is that they see black suspects commit worse crimes, not attempted murder, but literally murder, literally assassination, and get
I
like
could care less.
That's one of the legitimate grievances I talked about at the start of our show
I
today.
got two.
This is a real concern. This should not be happening.
bro.
Come on, man.
But it does
Tell you I
happen.
got
I mean,
two
George
in,
Zimmerman
bro.
had a
Stay on the
multi-million-dollar
three.
bond.
Give it. Just got by the two.
House had a multi-million-dollar bond.
It's not a
It's
lie.
because they're
Running
white
in,
guys.
bro.
Maybe because it's a politically charged event. In Zimmerman's case, a racially charged event. Yeah. Is that right? No.
Whoa.
No, it's not right.
Go it.
They're allowed to do this. I mean,
Why you just
frankly, I would
stopping at
expect,
the
I think,
Keep
maybe.
doing that, bro.
So this is a two-stage process right now for Chud. So right now when he's got his
This is
bond,
getting me
there's
tight,
bond and
gang.
there's
We forced
so
to play
bail
3
is
on
often
5.
a kind of technical process where like reports are filed, like is this guy a flight risk? Does he have bonds in the community? There's an examination of facts that goes into bail. But before you get to bail, because bail takes an arraignment, which is normally a few days later, post-arrest. Bond is something you might get right away.
But the AI.
So it's possible they gave him a $1.25 million bond,
Bro.
and then when they get to bail, and they have more facts in the record, they'll reduce the bail. I don't think Chud's getting out on a $1.25 million. I don't think he's got. I don't think he has.
Do it.
His GoFundMe has like 130, 140K in there.
Wow.
He has GoFundMe.
Not enough. And that's enough.
Yeah,
When it comes
he
to
just don't want us to come back in his feed.
How much money is that?
Half the remainder.
I'm playing with fucking idiots.
He doesn't have to lose it. Yeah. So again, when you pay a bail bondsman, you put up the 10%. The bail bondsman keeps that 10%. You never get it back. That's his fee. If he had 1.25 billion himself, he could put it all up, cover his own bond, and then as long as he shows up to court, he ends up getting it back. Yeah, 100%. So what I expect would happen here is he'd have to put up 10%. 125 grand, that he loses the bail bondsman, and then the bailsman is going to say, "But I want collateral for half the million."
Hey, yo,
So,
but I want collateral from the bail bondsman.
See, bro.
Do you have a $500,000 resource?
Yeah,
that you
fuck.
can seize if you want?
Gotcha. Okay.
And not many people have that.
Just
Yeah,
for the
so
floor,
I don't know
bro.
if Chet does or not, but I would be surprised.
Okay. So we went over. So if you were hired as the attorney,
That could be his give, send, go, or whatever he's doing. I mean, if he raises,
He's trying to give me some
he
bull.
could put that up as collateral.
by himself. Oh no, to the crowd line. Yeah.
Nigga had 43, 16 for 19 on his head.
So if you're the attorney,
Point guard is 4 for 12 before 4 for 12 when he left, and these niggas are still passing him the ball after he left. I just sat there the whole fucking game. I was just let it sat there.
how are you going to convey that to the court?
Niggas like try to be like, you gotta fucking play, you gotta play. No, fuck that. Like, fuck all that. Enjoy your game, man. Collect my rep. I can't put out every fucking game. I ain't doing that shit. Shit get old.
That's a great question. So there's a lot of stages at which you can make factual arguments in court. You could make them at the bail hearing.
Saying, Your Honor, these are facts that are favorable to my client. That should reduce the bail. But remember, everything you say, the prosecutor's hearing too. So if you're kind of giving away your strategy, your argument that you want to present at trial, you're giving it to the prosecutor now, and the prosecutor hears it. It's like, oh crap, we have to find a counter argument to that. So often you don't want to reveal that to the prosecutor any earlier than you have to. Now, many states have self-defense immunity statutes.
Been a long time since I fucking sat the whole fucking game, man. 3 games in a row, I got a point guard doing whatever dumb shit. Don't pass, nothing.
Self-defense. It was not a crime.
Nigga sitting there dribbling, taking dumbass shots.
But some states have self-defense immunity. Florida has it. A bunch of other states have it. Self-defense immunity allows. What's that?
Does Tennessee have it too or no?
I can check. I'll pull it up on the document. I probably does because it's a conservative state. But I can check for sure. I keep up.
Because I do think it's important to realize that he was released at the scene and then he got arrested several hours later. So he was free for a little bit until they. I think the arrest was more political than anything.
Because was he in the hospital? I mean, he had a gunshot wound.
Yeah,
So
he did go to the hospital. Yeah.
they knew where he was. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They weren't worried about being able to find him.
Yeah.
So Tennessee has self-defense immunity. The way self-defense immunity works is it gives you an opportunity to have your use of force be determined to be lawful self-defense without having to go through a trial. You can do it at a pre-trial hearing. And that's huge because the trial can easily be hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal expense, and you might lose. And if you lose, you go to prison for the rest of your life, right? So the ability to do this at a pre-trial hearing, which is not free, but it's only a few $1,000s, and if you lose, you still get to make your same argument at trial. It's not a game ender for you. And basically what it is, it's like a mini trial before the trial. So there's no jury, but it's before the judge. And you get to argue to the judge, hey, these are the facts that support my claim of self-defense. And the judge is like, yeah, that sounds good to me. He can grant you immunity from
2 misses already, bro.
So here's my question: when does this pre-trial happen? Because obviously we got the arrest. Looks to me like they made a probable cause arrest. I don't even know if they filed a criminal complaint. Does this happen after they make their piece?
Took 1 shot in like 3 games. It's just retarded.
Post grand jury.
I could be lying, like maybe 3.
It's the last thing that would happen before you actually go to trial.
Okay, all right. So you would actually still go through the entire rest.
All the discovery is done, right? Everything is done except the actual trial. And so basically, just before you go to trial, you have the option of saying, Your Honor, we'd like a mini trial.
Oh God!
Before
Just
you have the jury,
like why? There's a nigga on him.
and I want a day or two to explain why this is self-defense, and then the prosecution can argue against that. And if you convince the judge with self-defense, you never have to go to trial. You're immunized.
Niggas 0 for 3 already.
The trouble is, a lot of defense lawyers don't like to do this because you're exposing your entire strategy to the prosecution at this mini trial before the trial. And if you don't win immunity, you are going to trial, and now the prosecution knows every argument you're going to make. Right? They're not surprised, and they can prepare a counter. I still think it's nice to have self-defense immunity as
Nigga standing out of bounds and shit.
Just because of the tremendous cost and risk of the trial itself,
It don't matter what I get into, bro. It don't matter. These niggas are shit.
Is it basically a bench trial? Is it essentially? Is it the judge?
It's like a mini trial.
Yeah, but the
and it's final.
And the judge makes the decision.
The judge, there's no jury. The judge makes the decision.
Okay, so
but if you lose, you get to argue it again to a jury.
Yeah. Okay.
So you haven't lost anything in terms of your legal options, but what you've lost is you don't have the option to surprise the prosecution in trial anymore. You've shown everything.
So I mean, and self-defense is kind of one of those cases that's a bit different because this is like one of the few times where putting your guy in the stand makes a little bit of sense. But do you think Chuck's gonna have to go to the take?
It can make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
In self-defense cases, it's often the case that the best source of evidence that supports self-defense comes from the mouth of the defendant. What they were feeling, what they were thinking, why they did what they did. If they're not testifying, how do you get that into evidence?
That's what I was going to say.
There's really no other source. It can be very difficult. So often you want to. Normally, of course, a criminal defense attorney never wants to put their client on the stand. But in a self-defense case, it's like, hey, listen, there's a lot of important stuff we want the jury to know that can only come from your mouth. That's why Kyle Rittenhouse did this.
Yeah.
Right? George Zimmerman didn't take the witness stand, but the only reason he didn't was because the police had him do a number of walkthroughs of the crime scene where they videotaped him, and then the state introduced all the videotapes. So basically, George Zimmerman got virtually without having to take the witness stand and expose himself to the cross-examination. Kyle Rittenhouse had to
Come on, man.
And that guy was that kid, and I know Kyle Rittenhouse, by the way, he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. But that kid was on the witness stand for 3 grueling, torturous hours. I mean, we all saw him break down, right, crying on the witness stand. And that kid was clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
Imagine how many hours they would keep Chud the Builder on the witness stand, showing him video after video. Was this you calling this black guy the N-word? Yeah? Okay, how about now? Was this you? Also this guy? Also this 150th black guy you're calling the N-word? We just want to make sure this was you, right? Oh my God, it could be endless.
Yeah, no, and that's, yeah, they can do that. Hopefully the good defense attorney is going to object and make sure, they're able to redirect or whatever, but on redirect. So, like, okay, so 24 to 72 hours, get what you get the information you need. Obviously, no more statements to the police. Anything else you would do if you were his lawyer as far as, like, preparing for going? Would you in this situation, would you go ahead and do the mini trial, the pre-trial with this, defense immunity with the state officers?
I probably wouldn't, because I think it's such a politically, racially charged event. Remember, you're asking a judge to say, this guy can't be tried in front of a jury.
Yeah.
Oh God, bro, I'm on a team where niggas can't do shit.
Or a white dude who calls black people the N-word for their face.
He doesn't want that either.
I just don't see a judge doing that. Because the judge can just say, nah, I don't buy it. You go in front of the jury. Let the jury decide. Just pass the buck. Is what I would expect to happen.
So, in this situation with Chud, for him to be able to, establish all the, self-defense claims that he has, all the things that we discussed that might have been aggravating factors, he's basically going to have to go to trial. That's what you're saying. He won't be able to have an opportunity really to do this in any other manner.
Well, there are things he can do that can be important pre-trial. I don't know how nuts and bolts. I don't want to bore the audience.
No. Look, my audience is higher IQ. They love this stuff, so you're good. You can go into the nuts and bolts.
A big concern with Chud, of course, is this question of provocation, right? Did he provoke the fight? And normally, the defense...
Oh my fucking goodness. Two niggas open, he takes it up and gets blocked. Like, why? This nigga's just fucking garbage, man.
If you didn't know it, you can't bring it into evidence. But there is an exception. The exception is if the prosecutor attacks your claim of self-defense on that element of innocence, that you were the aggressor or you were the provoker. That opens the door for you to introduce evidence about the other guy that you did not know at the time. Because what the prosecution has done by attacking that element...
That's crazy. So, one more time. So, because this kind of goes against what we discussed before. If you don't know certain things, you can't bring it later.
You can't get it in. Right. So this is an exception to that general rule.
Okay, one more time with that one. So
we mentioned the 5 elements of self-defense, right? One of them is innocence. You started the fight, basically, either because you were the initial aggressor or you provoked her. Well, that raises a question to the jury. Well, who started the fight? So what becomes relevant is, well, who between these two guys was more likely to have started the fight? That opens the door to admit evidence that the other guy has a history of violence, even if you didn't know about it. Because that's relevant to whether or not it was more likely that he started the fight. So what I would do if I were Chud's defense attorneys, what I would say, listen, I just want you guys to know, if you're planning to attack my client on this issue of provocation, I'm going to bring in that other guy's entire criminal history. Because you'll have opened the door to doing that. And that can prevent the prosecution from bringing up the provocation issue in the first place because they don't want that other guy's criminal history coming to the right.
Wow, that's a bombshell. That's a bombshell. Because in this situation...
Listen, you can accuse my client of provoking if you want, but if you do that, I'm going to get that other guy's entire criminal history. The fact that he tried to burn down the building his ex-wife is in, that's all coming in. And otherwise, it wouldn't.
Yeah, because I remember...
So a lot of times prosecutors will say, oh, shit, well, then we'll attack him. Another thing, we'll say he went to the gun too soon. We'll say he was generally being unreasonable, but we're not going to bring up the provocation issue, which would be a huge win for Chud. That's obviously a big point of vulnerability.
I would argue that's like the linchpin is the provocation, because I think a big reason why they went so hard at this guy and came after him is because, well, this guy walks around and provokes black people all day, right? This is what he does.
That's right.
This is his dick. He provokes, he starts the fight. It was just a matter of time. He's trying to do this for clicks and for views, etc. And then even in this situation, right, where they're gonna, because the default assumption by everybody is he provoked this fight. So even with him disengaging, they still assume now he provoked the fight, whatever. But what you're saying is, if the prosecution intends to bring it in, which we know they're going to try to, of course, that's going to be probably the cornerstone of the argument, is that this guy's a provocateur for clicks. The defense can counter and say, okay, you want to play that game? We'll bring in your star witness and destroy his credibility.
Keep throwing it to the big man. He's not playing.
That's actually, wow. That's huge, man. Because, some prosecutors might say, yeah, my star witness is kind of a piece of shit. Like the guy has a criminal history. There's a face, because I saw social media posts where he literally was saying, like, yeah, I'm going to get Chud, I'm going to get rid of him, blah, blah, blah. So now what? Because the key is, did Chud know this? Let's say you're his attorney. He tells you, no, I honestly, sorry, Andrew, I didn't know about this stuff. That he threatened me. That might explain why he was saying, I'm going to get you, blah, blah, but I didn't know that he had said this stuff about me on Facebook. But now the prosecutor said,
holy shit.
Then you can counter, oh, well, you know what? I know that your client, or not your client, I remember having a team at this one point by myself. Threatening that he was going to try to kill him. And it doesn't matter that Chud didn't know, because now I'm going to use this. And that might scare them from using provocation.
Right, exactly. So, and the problem is, Chud's lawyers would need to know this.
He needs to hire you.
Wow. Most lawyers don't know this. Most lawyers, I talk to criminal defense lawyers who have 30-year careers, and most of their self-defense cases are bad guy cases of self-defense, and so they've only had 3 or 4 good guy cases.
Why are you running towards me?
Like once every 8 years. You don't get good at it if you do it once every 8 years. They don't just know. They don't know this stuff because they've never encountered it.
I would say
that's why people hire me.
No, I mean, dude, this is like, that's unbelievable. Like, and this is the importance of hiring a lawyer that I would argue right now, what you just said, you just destroyed the prosecution's main argument they're going to use. Because I think the whole reason why they went after him, why they made the arrest, etc., obviously it's from a cover your own ass perspective. From their perspective. But I would argue that what they're also going to say is that, this guy's a danger comedian, provokes, blah, blah, blah. But, but this guy that he got into a fight with is a piece
Don't know why he want to cut in. This shit is so stupid, bro. Niggas.
Provocation argument, which I would argue is literally the underlying factor as to what they're going to go.
Niggas just don't shoot nothing, man. You just run around.
Or they want to go forward. And then the jury gets to hear all that stuff about their star witness on cross-examination. Isn't it true you said this? Isn't it true you did that? And it has an effect of deflating the histrionics of the defendant, of Chud the Builder, right? Sure, he says crazy shit, but their star witness says crazy shit too.
I can't get through a fucking game, bro. I can't get through a game. This is wild.
I would think so. It would to me. So if someone
8 for 9, 7 for 7. Two niggas on the team, 22, 23, 20. What the fuck is this? Every fucking game I get into.
On the other hand, it can go the other way, right? If someone says, "Listen, I'm crazy," and if you say, let's say it's I'll make the word lemon, right? If you say the word lemon to me, I'm going to punch you, and then you say lemon, and you get a punch. Didn't you provoke that punch? I mean, the other person's not acting rationally, but you knew when you said that word that a punch was going to be incoming.
Yeah.
You kind of triggered it. Right? And what would a reasonable person do? I wouldn't say lemon.
Yeah. Yeah. Or let's assume, to play devil's advocate, let's say he does punch him, right? And he continues to punch him after that. Now I think we've established,
Oh God, bro. Oh God.
Well, sure, the sustained use of force that may be deadly. By the way, the saying of lemon doesn't justify the punch. The punch doesn't become lawful. It's still an unlawful punch.
Yeah.
But you can't say you were surprised that the punch happened.
Yeah.
Right? An argument can be made that you provoked that unlawful punch.
That's what I was going to say. So he punched him once, you can't pull the gun out and shoot him. But if he keeps punching you, you can argue that that's an aggravating factor because now it went beyond just one punch. Now it's punching you more and more. You can make the argument that,
small changes in facts make big changes in legal outcome, right? If the guy says, "Listen, I have PTSD, and every time I punch someone, I kill them," then the punch may be, say, "Well, shit, I can't afford to take that punch. He kills everyone he punches."
You can't make this shit up, man.
Again, this is why it's important to have as atomic an understanding of the facts as we can, which we don't really have that.
Yeah, apparently this guy was a veteran too, so he served in the military, which, maybe Chud's defense can argue, oh, well, he knows how to kill people.
That's what I would argue that, even though, of course, more people
it would be weak, but like,
the military, listen, God bless the military, but there's a lot of people in the military who are, clerks and cooks and nurses, and, it's not like everyone's the pointy end of the spear.
Of course.
But certainly, if I were the defense lawyer, I'd say, this person has military training.
Yeah.
Exceptionally legal.
Yeah. No, I mean that's I think Chud needs to hire you, man, at this point, because I think that right there is like I think you've just disarmed one of the big arguments.
So they're thinking Chud might get away with it because the nigga had a criminal past.
To attack him.
That nigga is going to jail.
I've made this argument. One thing I can guarantee you is the prosecution is completely unaware that they're vulnerable on this. They're completely unaware.
Oh my fucking goodness.
They said that nigga's getting 15 to 56. That's what I read.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. What is the name of that? What's that? What's the legal term for you being able to bring?
My thing is, you're knowingly going up to black people saying the N-word, and you know you have a gun on you. But like, you're trying to. What argument do you have that you're saying you're not provoking people? I'm just trying to figure out.
The gun before on stream,
and you mace people. You attack people. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
that's different than you went to the gun too early.
Pretty much asking for it.
Proportionality is what the prosecution.
It's like walking up to anybody saying, "I'm gonna fight you." Oh, you're mad because I said I'm gonna fight you? You're pimping out.
And before, I know you got to
You're chimping out.
So,
Like what?
He
Like
pimped out.
So let's
No?
go through with Chud's case. Let's kind of
Or
go through
aped out,
no,
whatever.
they're
and we can
black
kind
people
of
aren't
With his
fucking
logic.
monkeys and
With-
chimps. That's the shit I don't
With his
understand. White
logic.
people the only ones that grow tails, bro.
based off what we know now.
They come from
With his
monkeys.
logic.
I'm sure we have.
I'm just keeping it real. It's not even.
So for any claim of self-defense,
I got white in me too. Like I just don't understand. Like white people come from monkeys. That's their evolution.
goes away, and you basically confess
We didn't evolve from that shit. No matter what the fuck y'all trying to say, we did not evolve from no fucking monkeys. Never had tails. Never.
Imminence, the threat you're defending yourself against is either actually happening or immediately about to happen. I can send you something, man. You don't have to. I'll send you-
I'm in here just fucking. I'm only one making a fucking shot in this bitch.
Man, I thought I gave you the book.
You did, but then some bimbo here cleaned up my spot, and I was literally looking for it. That's why we started a little bit later. I was trying to find it. Innocence was the next one is Imminence, right?
7 for 7. My team is 2 for 6, 0 for 2, 3 for 7, 4 for 13.
Or it's about to happen.
39 to 82. I have 17 out of 39 points.
Past threat that's over or a future threat that may never happen. Then we have proportionality. You can only use deadly defensive force like a gun or a knife if you're facing a deadly force threat. If you're only facing a non-deadly force threat, you can only use non-deadly force in self-defense. Avoidance has to do with whether or not you have a legal duty to retreat before you can use force in self-defense. And then reasonableness. Did you genuinely believe in the need to act in self-defense? And would a hypothetical, reasonable, and prudent person in the same circumstances have shared that belief? In other words, your belief is not enough. It can't be speculative. It can't be the result of panic or bare fear. It has to be a reasoned belief that a reasonable and prudent
Good
person
move.
would share.
Someone in the chat said he's not a lawyer. Hey, retard, he is a lawyer. Don't. He's not a fucking consultant. Other people consult with him because he's the expert in self-defense. Idiots. He is a fucking lawyer. Retard. Do not
This nigga did a self alley-oop on me, and I'm fucking 22 points without missing. You think you're doing something too?
Not Dutch. And you poor people, I would have died out there alone.
So innocence, eminence, proportionality, avoidance, and reasonableness are the 5 factors.
Right. So the big vulnerabilities for Chud here are innocence, whether or not he provoked the confrontation. I don't know if that's true or not, but if he did, that would lose him innocence.
Like it keeps switching me to fucking X.
Did he go to the gun too soon in the context of a fist fight? That's a very fact-specific question. We'd have to know a lot more about what happened.
What was said? What was done? People were there. What was being? Yeah. So that one is probably the most.
Yeah, I got a real ambition for his cash.
An instant change, right? Maybe the guy got his hand on his throat. Maybe an arm went around his neck.
Good
Maybe
fucking
his hand
pass, man. I don't even give a fuck at this point.
But an instant before.
There you go, buddy.
Fact-specific.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then there's the fifth element, the final element is reasonableness. And that's so general, but it carries so much weight. So if you look at Tennessee's self-defense statute or any state's self-defense statute, you'll see the word reasonable, reasonableness, some variation of it.
This nigga really made that dumbass shit. I'm
Sometimes it
crying.
happens more than once in a single sentence. And that just reflects the weight that this element gets.
Oh, he caught a foul, bro. I'm blocking shit.
It's a judgment call that's being made by other people after the fact.
Fuck do I care for? This shit fucking not 49 and 93. I have 22 points.
Determine your legal fate. That doesn't determine whether
25.
you get convicted. What determines whether or not you get convicted is whether the cops and the prosecutor and the judge and most importantly the jury, if they think it was reasonable. You could think it was 100% reasonable, but if the jury doesn't agree, convicted you are, and off to prison you go. And you have to, when you're in the moment you're defending yourself, you don't know who your jury is.
Is this why it's so critical? Is this why it's so critical that a lot of the times the defendant has to take the stand because only they can describe
Holy shit. What is my nigga doing?
what was going through their mind?
They just run up and just hit X and take the ball from you. It's insane.
Everything hinges upon reasonableness, but obviously there's only one person that can take you through exactly what was going through their mind at the same
You're
time.
fucking garbage.
Someone out of the corner, I say, kill him, get him. I smelled gunpowder. I saw him reaching like this, and I saw.
Oh my gosh.
These things are intimate details that.
This nigga, I'm wide open. I stop on the fast break. I'm going up with it. Stop. pause, and then put it up and miss a whole meter. I don't know what the fuck my guy's gonna do.
Right, jury,
Just missed 2 shots. Missed a shot for no fucking reason.
All right, you're saying, you're admitting, right? You shot and killed that dude, or in Chud's case, you shot that guy in the belly and he lived. All right, maybe that's lawful. Maybe that's self-defense. Maybe that's not a crime. But we're gonna
Go ahead, power forward. Get the ball.
You have to convince us. Yeah. And if you're not willing to
Oh my fucking goodness. I can't even get the ball, bro. They're throwing AI's throwing turnovers, all type of shit.
Yeah. So
if you're Chud, how do you take the witness stand and get all those videos?
Playing with fucking PlayStation motherfuckers, man. These motherfuckers trash.
To living a clean life.
Yeah,
right. If you're ever accused of a crime and you have to take the witness stand, you don't have a lot of baggage coming with you. Chud doesn't have that.
Shit, man. So, would you put him on the stand if you were his attorney at this point? How would you go about getting his testimony? How would you go about getting his testimony in where he actually felt in fear for his life? How would you just go? Because this would be a very difficult case to handle.
If the client's not willing to take the stand, you have to rely on, you have to stitch together eyewitness statements, things in the medical examiner's report, and then in closing argument, you have to stitch all that together and say, listen, stitching all this together, any reasonable person would have been in fear for their life. But it's not the same for the jury as hearing it from the defendant. And there's a reason when the defendant testifies, it's invariably, because in a criminal trial, the prosecution presents their case first.
Yep.
And then they rest. And then the defense presents their case second. And if the defendant takes the witness stand, it's almost invariably the last witness of the defense, meaning the last witness of the trial. And part of that is you want it to be the most compelling testimony for the jury. You want it to be the last thing they hear before they get their jury instructions and go into deliberations. But part of it also for the defense is they don't want to do it. They don't want to put their witness.
Nigga, you're flexing like you're doing something. I'm 10 for 11 on your fucking noggin.
Make that call.
Okay, yeah, so it could be a last minute, split second. Okay.
11 for 12 on your noggin.
Okay, so fair.
You're garbage.
The facts that you have now, you probably wouldn't put Chud on the stand.
You're fucking garbage.
You know, if you were his attorney,
it depends on how the trial goes.
There you go. Okay.
You know, every word.
These are garbage.
You're looking at the jury. You're looking at their demeanor, at their expressions, and even those of us who follow these trials when they're live streamed from the courts, you never get to see the jury, right? That's something we don't get to see if we're not in the courtroom, but the lawyers get to see it. And they're getting a sense of, right, which jurors are affected by which arguments and what do we want to emphasize and not emphasize. They're developing that over the entire court because the lawyer's exposure to the jury is only in the courtroom, right? They've never seen these people before. So you're kind of observing their reactions and you're watching what's happening. And at the last moment, before the jury's instructed, the judge is going to ask one last time, counsel, do you want your client to testify? Because we're about to wrap this up. And then the counsel has to say either we rest or, yeah, we're going to put him on the stand.
Okay.
It's a hard decision to make.
No,
because you never really know. Even with completely innocent clients, you don't know. The trouble is, once you put him on the witness stand, he's off the leash. You have no idea what stupid shit is going to come out of his mouth once he's on the witness stand. And the prosecutor is there to goad him, to taunt him. That's what they did with Rittenhouse, right? To shame him. To make him angry, to make him explode and say something stupid on the witness stand that'll have an impact on the jury that'll lean them towards conviction. Of
course I lose the ball. Of course I lose the ball. I catch the rebound, I lose the fucking ball, man. This shit is getting old. This shit is getting fucking old as shit.
How else are you going to get the evidence in?
Yeah, man. And in the trial, obviously, you know, hearsay is not admissible. It has to be the actual witness to come in and testify. So.
Still shitting on you.
Fair enough. No, man.
Still shitting on your stupid ass.
And closing here. So, what are your thoughts on the case? Do you think he can?
Shitted on this nigga, man. 12 for 13.
He doesn't get caught. What are your general thoughts?
I mean, I don't have enough facts, right? I can imagine facts that would be very consistent with self-defense. It would look like a robust case of self-defense. And a lot of those facts are amorphous, like we talked about. It depends on what his lawyers are pinning down right now, as facts. And I can imagine a scenario in which it just. A jury will be very easy to convince that this guy, given his history, provoked this confrontation, and they just don't like him. They don't like him. He's
Joan on here bitching about she went to AutoZone, it was all girls there. Advanced Auto, it was all girls there. She couldn't get no service done. Fucking hilarious. My bad for the L stream, man.